In the last class, we have written up to which part? Geographical spread have we written? Broadly, we have seen this. Yes. Now, so from now onwards, your perspective towards history is going to change now. Now you see how. We are giving the timeline 2100 to 700 BC is generally considered as the Chalcolithic settlement time period. But when it comes to the Neolithic time period, what is the Neolithic age? Starting 7000 BC, 1000 BC. Northeast. Now you see 7000 BCE, Neolithic started in the Indian context. And up to 1000 BC, we are calling it as Neolithic. You have to see it is not a, again, your term can be used. It's not a monolithic. That means it's not a single place. These dates are different in one geography. These dates are different in another geography. Now, one geography is still undergoing Neolithic phase, but in some other geographic location, Chalcolithic started. Do you see? On one hand, hunting, gathering, Neolithic settlements are going on. On the other hand, in some parts, advancement is already happening. To understand this in the present contemporary context, you need not to draw, just for explanation, I am drawing this. Now we are talking 21st century. This is our present boundary. In every part, suppose metal, Chalcolithic means usage of the metal. That is new technology, comparing with the previous generation. Let us consider in 21st century, the most advanced technology is artificial intelligence, software industry. This is the same land, and we have even central administration also, constitution also. Politically, we are so evolved. Even at this point of time also, software industry is mostly developed in this part. And when it comes to northern belt, industrially, Deccan and South is more advanced. Suppose if I take Vindhyas as the, here industrial activities are more. This is the present context. That's why in our GS1 history and GS1 syllabus also there is society. Characteristics of Indian society. Now you see, on one hand, still this belt is considerably less advanced comparing this. Reasons could be so many. There could be so many reasons. But you just see the difference in the one particular industry or one particular software industry. Now, technologically advanced. Overall, in some pockets like Gurgaon, in some places it is there. But if you see overall, still it is agriculture based. Agriculture based. And in some pockets, for example, Chota Nagpur Plateau in northeast and Andaman, still tribal culture dominates, tribal way of life. Subsistence farming, shifting agriculture. So shifting agriculture is something which was started in Neolithic stage. In Neolithic stage, they clear certain area, and if they are not able to produce more, and they will shift. Slash and burn. Now you see, whatever culture we are talking about in Neolithic, even in 21st century also, some pockets are there. While these are still living in the primitive stage of life, but there are centers which are talking about advanced. Culture is Indian culture, but within Indian culture, we have differences, regional differences. Now in 21st century, with so much constitutional values and central government and strong state governments, still we have these many differences. But in 2000 BC, we are still evolving. That's why these common differences are about to be natural. With this understanding, let us say this. While some places are in Neolithic, while some places are in Chalcolithic. I will draw one more now. Now this area Indus Valley civilization, if I talk about mature Indus Valley, mature Harappan, this is 2600 to 1900 BC. This is the period. The mature phase, the urban phase, is visible in this range, 2600 to 1900. Now, around this time period, as of now, scholars mostly agreed that Aryans migrated from Central Asia. Now, around this time, 2600 to 1900 means the Vedic people or Aryan people might be somewhere here. And they are about to come by 1500 BC. And we are talking about 1500 BC, that is a large scale settlement of early Vedic people. But much before the visibility of early Vedic people, some people might be already migrating slowly, not in a huge mass, but whenever you see these people are very good in trading practices, and they were having contacts with this area also, Today also, wherever trade networks are strong, you will find different people going to different places. Likewise, these people were also there. That's why in Aryan people also, we used to say two kinds of people, early Aryans and non-Aryans. In the Vedic literature, early Aryans and non-Aryans mean, early Aryan mean those who migrated before 1500 BC. Non-Aryans means the indigenous, already settlements, Neolithic, Chalcolithic, Harappan settlements are going on by 1500. Now, in this area, place called Jorvi, we are also calling it as Jorvi culture. Like this is Harappan culture, early Vedic culture, this is Jorvi culture. Some places like Daimabad, Jorvi, Yanamgaon, Somgaon, different places are there. Now this Jorvi culture timeline is 1400 to 700 BC. Now 1400 to 700 BC, what is happening in this location? Already Rig Veda started. Rig Vedic hymns, suppose 1400. Rig Vedic hymns started. That shows this particular area, literature-wise, they are now advanced. Just like this one. Technologically, at this point of time, South India and Deccan is good in software at this moment. But gradually, this software is definitely going to there. After maybe 10 years, 20 years, we are going to see so many software parks also in northern India. But at this point of time, there is time lag. Similarly, the Vedas started around this time in one part, but in this part still before the emergence of script only. And these people we are calling Chalcolithic. Because technology-wise they are using the copper, but not the literature. Now you see this. By 1400, mature Harappan stage also declined. These settlements we call late Harappan. There are three terminologies when it comes to Harappan. One is pre-Harappan, second one mature, third one late. After 1900, we call them as late Harappans. Now at this time, because we are talking about Chalcolithic, now this is one Chalcolithic culture, but before them, some people lived in very advanced life, urban life, and there are certain areas evolving the Rigvedic culture. But this area is living with Chalcolithic, just with the copper technology. This is one example. Now when it comes to this area, this is Ahar culture. This starts around 2100 BC. 2100 BC Ahar culture, that is contemporary to mature Harappan. So when these people are living in urban areas, but still these people are living in rural communities. This is the difference with mature Harappan. That's why Harappan period occupies very, very significant place in our history. When most of the people now, after Harappan also village, before Harappan also village, and there are so many people, even contemporary to Harappan also village. But this part is very advanced urban life. That is why Harappan civilization is very, very crucial for our pride of Indian culture. And this was not known till 1921. Before 1921, we don't know that. We were only talking about Vedas. Vedas is the beginning stage of life. But even we don't know the exact time of Vedas also. But later, with comparative analysis of the languages, then we come to know that Vedas were around 1500 BC onward started. But much before that, there was a great civilization in the Indian subcontinent. When these people are advanced, but these people are just coming out of Neolithic settlement. Now in this place, 3000 BC is Neolithic. After 3000 BC, now naturally copper is also about to enter, and there are certain areas, those became Neolithic, Chalcolithic. So likewise, in this area, in this area, in this area also, Chalcolithic. Always you try to see, you don't see in a single culture perspective. Always try to see in the what is happening in other part. Now around, if I say 2100 BC, if I ask you what is happening in Jammu and Kashmir around this time period. Pit dwellings, Burjham and Gufrkal. Burjham and Gufrkal around 2500. Agriculture or urban areas? As of now, only during Mahajanapada time period only we are going to see little bit urbanization. Now it is Neolithic. And if we see during Harappan time period also, the northernmost point of urbanization, northernmost Harappan area, do you remember in Jammu and Kashmir there is one place which is related to Harappan, that is Manda. This is a place of Harappan culture. This we consider as northernmost boundary of the Harappan. But it is not like Mohenjo-daro, Harappa. Harappa, Mohenjo-daro gives huge evidence of urban. But when it comes to Manda, Alamgirpur, these areas just having some urban characteristics. Not like Harappa, Mohenjo-daro, Kalibangan, their huge structures, huge monuments. So beginning could be like this, but only after second, this we call first urbanization. Second urbanization is going to come after 600 BCE. 600 BCE we also call second urbanization. After Harappan, now you see, after almost 2000 years only we are going to see the urban areas. For example, if I ask you now, this is the present day context. Today in 21st century, we are having latest technologies and different areas are manufacturing different products. Software knowledge is also growing, and in some areas, even medical industry. Medical industry is one of the strongest industries in the world itself. We used to export the medicine to the other countries. Advanced. Now this is 21st century. Now if I ask you, compare India's condition from 1947 to 2023. 75 years ago, did we have these things? No. Because we were almost very subsistence level. Because of the British policies, our condition became so pathetic that our literacy rate is very, very low. Infant mortality, maternal mortality are very high. Longevity is very less. Now, because of the technological progress, we could improve on those front. This is 1947 condition. But again, if we go back before the British, 1750, before the emergence of British, India was trading with the world. And India's trade share was 25% of the global trade. In 1750, before that, 25% of the global share India was commanding. After 200 to 50 years, it became so pathetic that we were begging for the food from the other countries. In the harsh terms, we have to say like that. But again, we understood the importance of self-reliance. Now today we are self-sufficient in food and we are developing on the other fronts also. What this example shows, we were one of the advanced civilizations in 1750, but by 1947 came down, and again we are improving again. And today India's economy is one of the top 5 economies in the world in terms of GDP per capita. That way we are. So this is how sometimes you will find very peak stage or mature stage of a culture. Sometimes you will see very low stage of the culture. Again you will improve, again this will go on. This way, if you consider this aspect, similarly, when it comes to mature stage, this is one of the highest cultural presence in India. But after that, once again, these kind of urban areas we are not going to see. Only if we consider this 2500 to 1900, this urbanization, then again after that, we are going to see the rise 600 BC. So rise, fall, rise. Again after post-Gupta time period, we see a little bit downward. Feudalism, the rise of feudalism, there are different, again, it is not monolithic in the language. When it comes to this area, it was very much flourishing in the early medieval time period. Most of the UNESCO World Heritage Sites developed during early medieval time period. And many of them are there in Deccan period. Huge temples like Ellora, Brihadishwara temple, Mahabalipuram, Kanchipuram, so many temples around that time period. But when it comes to northern India, it was going through the phase of feudalism. So in every area geographically, because India is a huge vast area, you cannot see, if for general studies students, we won't study, for general studies, we won't study this much detail. But an optional student needs to study all this. Because questions are asked that what are the regional characteristics. This is very common parameter. Regional characteristics of Harappan, regional characteristics of Neolithic, regional characteristics of Chalcolithic mean you have to imagine that every part of Indian subcontinent. Then only you can really assess. Even today also, suppose Prime Minister has to take care of every region of the country. He cannot simply see only few areas and can see that India is progressing. But if he study the each nook and every corner of the country, then only come to know that some areas are very much lagging, some areas are advanced. Wherever advanced culture is there, we have to take some benefits, we have to give it to the weak areas. That's what taxation policies, these are administration. This is what our history teaches us. For example, during Chalcolithic time period itself, there are some areas very advanced, some areas just pastoral, some areas now started writing about Vedas also, but some areas still living in the village setup. These Chalcolithic, some were before mature Harappan, some were after Harappan. Now I will give you the structure. Structure is going to be the same, what we study in Harappan culture, in Chalcolithic. We need to study about subsistence, like what type of crops they have grown, what type of animals. Domestication, and what type of religious beliefs, art, artisan, these aspects only we are going to study. Now I will give you this. We have written up to geographical spread, right? Now, subsistence of Chalcolithic people. Give the heading, subsistence of Chalcolithic people. Chalcolithic people under this Chalcolithic people had different types of subsistence patterns. The subsistence pattern, full stop, next line. The subsistence pattern, next point. The subsistence pattern also shows regional variation. Shows regional variation. First you give hunting and gathering. Hunting and gathering. The hunting and gathering practice is continued like the people of Paleolithic and Mesolithic. Next, domestication of animals. In fact, our general studies 3 paper, economy. In our general studies 3, economy is there. In economy also, almost the agriculture related. Whatever agriculture practice today we are following, they are still primitive only, in more or less. Only in certain pockets advanced technology is used. But most of the villagers are still using the basic tools like hoe, plowing. And those were the technologies that developed in the ancient time itself. This is one of the limitations of agriculture in the 21st century, because it is not giving the more productivity and also more income for the farmers. And that is forcing the farmers to go for suicides when they are trapped in the debt. Domestication of animals. The Chalcolithic people domesticated animals Chalcolithic people domesticated animals such as cattle, sheep, goats, and pigs. Even today also, in GS3 we are going to write how to improve the income of the farmers. And we are going to give the suggestions like rearing animals, animal rearing. And we have to give the animal rearing more market so that people get more income. Next point. The use of camel as a draught animal was also known to them. Ahar, Gilun, Balatal. These areas are near to desert area, and in that desert area, camel is there. They have utilized the advantage of camel. Next subsistence, agriculture. Agriculture. They cultivated wheat, barley, bajra, and rice. They also produced several pulses. Such as lentil, black gram, and grass pea. Mutter, close to that. Full stop. Specifically for, now you see how, this is how, when it comes to society, how history helps in understanding the present day Indian society. Give the next point. They produced rice in eastern India. They produced rice in eastern India. They also ate fish. Full stop. Now this point you see. The combination of rice and fish. The combination of rice and fish remains a staple food. Remains a staple food in eastern India even today. Even today also, that is one of the important subsistence or important food item for the people, because rice, Ganga river, geographically alluvial soil is there, water is there, coastal area is there. Even today also, now same was the food habit 4,000 years ago also. Next. In Western India, they cultivated barley and wheat. Next point. In the lower Deccan, ragi, bajra, and several millets. In lower Deccan, ragi, bajra, and several millets. Even today also, if you are asked a question, write about the cropping pattern of India, you are going to write the same thing only. Next subsistence pattern, artisan activities. Hunting gathering continued, domestication of animals continued, agriculture continued. Artisan activities. Artisan activities. We are talking about Chalcolithic. Obviously, they are good in copper smiths. They were expert coppersmiths. They were expert coppersmiths. They were good stone workers. Next point, they were good stone workers. Coppersmiths, good stone workers. They made beads. Beads of semi-precious stones. Semi-precious stones. They manufactured cloth. They manufactured cloth. Four thousand 4,500 years itself, cotton, manufacturing cotton cloth is common to Indian subcontinent. This point will help you in modern India also in the colonization. How it helps? When it comes to British policies, India was always good in manufacturing the textiles. Harappan people, they exported. Now we are talking about actually these Chalcolithic, whatever we are talking, after Harappans. But before these Chalcolithic, Harappans, they were good in manufacturing clothes. They exported to other countries also. When British came and dominated India, due to their policies, they exported the cotton, the raw material for the textiles. They used this cotton in London manufacturing centers and they inundated India with manufactured textiles. In the language of Karl Marx, he used to say that the very mother country of cotton is flooded with textiles. Why he is saying that the mother country of cotton means largest producer and one of the ancient. Since 5000 BC, 7000 BC onwards, we know the cotton. Cotton industry is very ancient. And the very mother country of cotton, textile, flooded with textiles. And this has broken the language of Karl Marx. This has broken the handloom industry of India. Now these people who were earlier manufacturing cloth, they were forced to go for this one. When you don't have strong manufacturing sector, what you will do? You are forced to go for agriculture. And this is what happened. So artisan activities are there since ancient time period. That is why the policies of any government is very, very crucial to move from agriculture sector to the industrial sector. Even today also we are struggling to make strong industrial sector, manufacturing sector. Manufactured clothes. Next point. At Enamgaon, in Maharashtra, we find potters, terracotta makers, ivory carvers, lime makers, and other smiths. You see, potters, terracotta, ivory, lime. Limestone, like for manufacture this construction related works. Next point. They also manufactured bangles of copper, you see this? Now when it comes to Chalcolithic, here we are talking about in this time period we are talking these things. And in which geographic location we are talking? We are talking mostly about this geographic location. Except Harappa, we are talking about this. But this time period, from 2500 onwards, this geographic location, they were already doing all these activities. Before the emergence of urban areas, these people were already doing the same activities with a strong agriculture backup, with a strong artisanal backup. They emerged as the urban areas, cities. This is what Sanju, is my voice clear? Is my voice clear? Is it fine? Is it fine? Is my voice fine? Okay. Where we are? Harappan people have already has undergone all these activities, and that's laid the foundation for strong urban areas. This Chalcolithic we are talking about after the Harappans, but the same process happened before Harappan also in this geographic location. This case study also just we are going to write for that. After subsistence pattern, then next thing, religious beliefs. You give religious beliefs. Yes, trade also we can mention. Give. Artisan activities, trade. You give this. Sanju, draw this image under trade. In fact, around 700 BCE, Vedic people also will come in the Gangetic Valley. During, right, 1.2, right? During Chalcolithic time period, there were continuous exchanges. There were continuous exchange of goods and items among the contemporary cultures. Among the contemporary cultures. For example, these are the beginning stages in Neolithic. You can see here, Sanju. These people are Neolithic. By the time they reached Neolithic, these people reached Chalcolithic phase. And because copper is available, they imported copper and started using the copper. That's why even though first time they were using stone tools, but at the same time copper was also there because of this exchange. These people have the impact of this also. This area have the characteristics of Neolithic people also have the Malwa culture also. Malwa culture influenced by Jorvi culture, Ahar culture. So this continuous interaction is, and in Gangetic Valley also, in some places we have Chalcolithic settlements. We identified those Chalcolithic settlements with a certain pottery. That pottery is ochre colored pottery, OCP. Sorry. And there was interaction. These are the tribal pockets. In the before the emergence of Chalcolithic, you have to see this way. Suppose there is any place, period 1. In some places, this period 1 is Neolithic. In the same place, after some time gap, period 2 comes. These Neolithic people adopt the copper technology. We call them as Chalcolithic. After some time, period 3, Neolithic to Chalcolithic, and if they have some urban features, if they use bronze culture, urbanization, but it is not continuous always in every place. There are certain places, they don't have any Neolithic settlement first. Period 1 itself, Chalcolithic. Then period 2, proto-urban. And there are some places, period 1 is Paleolithic. When it comes to period 2, Mesolithic. And when it comes to period 3, it can go to Neolithic, or settlement may stop here itself. Before this area, in any particular area, suppose forest area, completely forest, dense forest, some settlements, and again after that, completely forest, invisible. Only unless archaeologists identify this place. Exactly this happened with respect to Bhimbetka Adamgarh caves. Bhimbetka caves, Adamgarh caves, Paleolithic, they used those rock shelters. And after that, in Mesolithic time period also, they used most of the Bhimbetka Adamgarh paintings belongs to the Mesolithic time period. And thereafter, this settlement, after this, they did not enter into the Neolithic. And completely dense forest, and only in the 19th century, it was discovered. But if you take Gangetic Valley, more and more population, always you will see the migrations. Whenever you have more possibility of food, then more migrations is natural. That's why even before that, you will find Mesolithic. For example, if you take the Bilan Valley, Mesolithic age itself starts, then it enters into Neolithic, then Chalcolithic. Then whoever comes, continuous settlements that by layer, archaeologists, if there is any particular area, and they have to go layer by layer. In our ancient history, first layer may give Gupta period, second layer will give Kushana period, third level Mauryan period, this level Mahajanapada period, and before that later Vedic, and before that Chalcolithic, before that Neolithic. This is what vertical excavation means, this one. So that's why whenever a particular site comes, archaeologists have to layer by layer they have to understand. Top layer represent one culture, second layer another culture, another culture, another culture. When you go deep, when you go vertically, you will find the different cultures. But if you go horizontally, if you excavate horizontally, you will find the extent of the particular. Suppose if this is a Gupta area and if you excavate large area, this shows this is the extent of Gupta era. This is the extent of Chalcolithic, extent of Neolithic, Mesolithic, like that. In Harappa, Mohenjo-daro, this is what happening. Initially, they identify only something that is at the upper level. Hello, is it echo coming? Is echo coming? Let me change the batteries. Hello, Sanju. Is it better now? Hello, is it better? Have changed the battery also. Is my voice, is it fine? Not audible? Hello. Hello. Is it better? Audible now? Fine. Change the battery. So this is how the archaeologists have to, when you are excavating any particular area, they have to be worried how much. That's why in Mohenjo-daro, if you go, layer by layer they excavate. At lower level, one kind of culture. At higher levels, one kind of culture. Just if you take Mohenjo-daro, at lowest level, you will find Neolithic, Chalcolithic, then urban areas, late urban areas, one by one. And if you excavate horizontally, it shows the extent of a particular area. This way, that's why these areas, when they started Neolithic lifestyle, they got copper technology also because of the interaction. And because of this, continuous trade activities, copper. And these people, for example, gold was there, Kolar goldfield, and they used to supply gold to Harappan people. There is a place called Ganeshwar. Copper, K3 mines, copper was supplied to them. Rajasthan area. In this way, there were continuous interaction. That's why the raw material which is not locally available for certain arty crafts, like cornelian beads, they used various semi-precious metals for making the beads. And these beads require certain raw material that is not available locally, but they used to import from the other areas. Similarly, from Afghanistan area, they used to do that. This is about trade. Next, you give the heading religious beliefs. Religious beliefs. Terracotta figurines. Terracotta figurines of women. Women represent the practice of worshipping Mother Goddess. Mother Goddess. Next, you give subheading burial practices. In beliefs itself, burial practices. Burial practice was a striking feature of Chalcolithic people. The dead bodies were buried. The dead bodies were buried under the floor of their own house. Under the floor of their own house. So now you see, these people must be believing that after death also they live in their own homes. Physically they might not be there, but in another way they might believe that they will stay at least in the home itself. That's why they used to bury their dead bodies. This is a striking difference with respect to Harappans. And this is also something which connects with hygiene also. Because burying dead bodies in the home, one kind of hygiene practice. Burying the dead away from the homes is another hygienic practice. Harappan people followed that, a separate area where buried their dead bodies. This was the difference. Next point. The dead bodies were buried in north to south direction. So if all the dead bodies are seen with only north and south direction, that means there might be some kind of belief that head should be in the north and the leg should be in the south. We don't know exactly because we cannot infer, but definitely it shows some kind of religious beliefs. They were buried along with pots and copper objects. Copper objects. Next point, that contemporary connection. Even today also people practice such kind of burial practices. Suppose 700 BC. Let us take 700 BCE. In 700 BCE, Jorvi culture. It flourished from 1400 to 700 BCE. 1400 to 700. Now, around this time period, now you see in other places what was happening. Early Vedic, this is 1500 to 1000 BCE, and this is later Vedic, 1000 BC to 600 BC. It is very natural that later Vedic texts contain the language of those people who are early settlers. These early settlers are Chalcolithic people. These Chalcolithic people have these burial practice ideals, these religious ideals. They know agriculture, they know domestication of animals, they have the trade network. All these systems, institutions were already there. That's why in Vedic, there was a term called Panis. Pani is the term given to the traders. Generally, early Vedic people are hostile towards Panis. Because Panis, they used to steal the cattle of Vedic people. Cattle thievers, and they are also traders. And this kind of, already before the Vedic settlements itself, so much activity already going on in the Indian subcontinent. This is where archaeology is very, very important in the reconstruction of Indian history. Before the archaeology, when we have only literary sources, we don't know about all these things. We were only thinking about only Vedic age is the beginning age of our history. We don't know the exact time period of Vedic period also. But whatever Vedas are saying, that is the beginning stage of Indian life. After the confirmation of the date of Rig Veda, that is 1500 BCE, our history starts with 1500 BCE. If we go strictly by the Vedic literature. But once archaeology comes, then we come to know that there was so much activity that was already going on before 1500 BC itself. That's what different theories are going on. Multiple theories. One theory is Harappans became Vedic people. Because Harappans were early, Vedic people later came, 1500. That means Harappan people, they converted themselves into Vedic people. That is one theory. Second theory is Vedic people came from outside and they invaded the Harappan areas. That is one thing. And third one, this 1500 to 1000, this time itself is wrong. Vedic people were there much before that, and the people created the Harappan urbanization. Urban people created Vedic religion, or Vedic religion created Harappan urban areas. Or another one is they came from outside and they destroyed the Harappan cities. And fourth one is Harappan people are different, Vedic people are different, time period is also different, and they migrated naturally. After the decline of Harappan people, Vedic people settled. Those are our question also like that only. Explain about various theories or various interactions between Harappan and Vedic. That was already asked in our question. So there is some kind of interaction between, but that's why when it comes to Vedic people, you have to talk very sensitively. Three areas are there. Late Harappan, mature Harappan, early Harappan. These Vedic people are contemporaries to late Harappan. But mature Harappan and early Harappan, different time period. By that time, Vedic people were somewhere here in Iran, above Iran, that Caspian Sea area. This is where the different interpretations will come. We have to study all of them, different theories. That's why you should have very, very strong idea about the geographic location. And before the emergence of Vedic itself, something is happening. Jorvi culture 1400 to 700 BCE. When it comes to Ahar 2000, so different going on. Now you see these are practicing the burial practices. This is also the time when Upanishads, they are also talking about next life, birth, rebirth, karma, and what happens to the people after life also. So theoretically, with the literature wise, in one part, these ideas are going on. At the primitive stage, these practices are also going on. Suppose today also, on one hand, we are living in urban areas. In some pockets of tribal practice, they are still following similar kind, like stone as God. They worship stone as God. So likewise, they have different burial practices, different type of festivals. That's why we have in our art and culture, in our GS1 syllabus also, tribal people, tribal society, tribal culture. Because India is a very vast country. We cannot brush entire Indian culture with a single brush. We have to see the regional variations. Burial practice is also there. You can obviously expect the interaction between Vedic people and the early settlers also. Next you give society. Society of Chalcolithic people. They are rural communities. They are rural communities. They did not know the art of writing. They did not know the art of writing. They did not live in cities. They did not live in cities. They lived in houses built with mud bricks, wattle and daub houses are very common. Wattle and that thatched houses with leaves and poles. Society. And when it comes to technology, they used stone technology, copper technology, low-grade bronze. Because already by this time, certain areas used bronze. Low-grade bronze. Low-grade bronze. And before 700 means even some form of iron also. Around 1000 BCE, iron becomes. Because later Vedic time period, iron is the major crucial factor in changing the economy of later Vedic people. But these people, they were primarily depending on copper. But due to interaction, in fact, this is the area where iron emerged. Megalithic people were using iron. So these Chalcolithic also utilized, but low-grade iron. Low-grade iron. So this is about Chalcolithic people. Now we have to give one case study, that is how this Neolithic, Chalcolithic urban areas, this is how any particular settlement, if you do not disturb, if you do not destroy a settlement, or if that is not destroyed by any natural calamities, that will continue from Neolithic to Chalcolithic, Chalcolithic to urban. For example, Delhi, if you take, around 800 or 900 AD, Delhi was a rural area. Tomars, they laid the foundation for the Delhi. And later, Chauhans, they used this area, they built some constructions. Later, Delhi Sultanate came, and they made it as the capital. Then Mughals, and after that, British time period also. Today also, in Delhi is the capital of India. Because almost for 1000 years continuously, Delhi is having the settlements. That shows layer by layer, different periods we will come to know if we dig. Similarly, these abandoned areas, archaeologically, if we start excavating, Chalcolithic, then before the Neolithic, Mesolithic, such kind of settlements will follow. There is one place, that is Mehergarh. Mehergarh is very good example in understanding how Mesolithic Neolithic converted into first Neolithic phase, then how it entered into Chalcolithic phase, and how it entered into proto-urban. Neolithic to Chalcolithic, Chalcolithic to proto-urban. And this is the area Indus Valley civilization flourished. Because such kind of places, multiple are there. Before the emergence of urban areas, already Chalcolithic lifestyle was there. These people are villagers, these people are urban. That's why one case study, that is with Mehergarh, we will understand how one area will turn into. So you give like a Mehergarh case study. Mehergarh case study. Mehergarh 3. Here 1, 2, 3 represent. One is first life, first one. Second one is in between, Neolithic, Chalcolithic features. Third one, Chalcolithic, like that. Mehergarh 3 belongs to second half of the 5th millennium BCE. Second half of 5th millennium. Second half of 4000. 5th millennium, yeah, that's like 4500. (7,000 BCE) Mehergarh 1, Neolithic. So now we are talking about Chalcolithic. Mehergarh 3 belongs to the second half of 5th millennium BC and is Chalcolithic. Now in bracket you give this. Mehergarh 1 is Neolithic 7000 BC. So that we should have continuity. Layer 1 Neolithic, Layer 2 Neolithic Chalcolithic combo, Layer 3 Chalcolithic. So Mehergarh 3 belongs to second half of 5th millennium BCE, 4500. Then you give the subheading crafts. Now this shows how Neolithic settlements are converting into Chalcolithic. And later this is going to be the foundation for urban Harappan Valley. So Indus Valley civilization, Harappan civilization emerged out of these natural. Now you see, naturally they are evolving. In our history optional, there is one question. Harappans, it is not a naturally developed civilization. It is a civilization that was imported from the outside. That means in this area also already developments are going on. In which area? In Mesopotamian area. Already in West Asia also, they are also Neolithic, Chalcolithic, urban areas. They are also going to the same level of evolution. Before Harappans, that area developed first. That's why the British, because they were ideologically, it suits them. Because they are the invaders and they have to show that India, even since ancient times, always invaded by others, always taken the ideas from others. They don't have any original ideas. This is the ultimate aim of the British. Obviously, that's why when you see through that prism, whatever greatness you find in India, you always try to attribute to the outside influence. Same thing happened here also. When Harappa, it completely shocked the British. It gave so much pride to Indians. In 1921, non-cooperation movement was going on, and 1920s little bit excavation is going to take place. Jawaharlal Nehru also visited Harappa, Mohenjo-daro areas, and he has even written the book Discovery of India. All these developments were generating the pride in India, India's past. But Britishers were very much annoyed by these developments. And they have to say something that says that even this greatness is not attributed to Indians, and this greatness is because of someone came from outside. Central Asian theory with respect to Vedic people. And when it comes to here, Mortimer Wheeler, he says from this West Asian origin. Harappans were gift of West Asia. Vedic culture was the gift of Central Asia. But it was archaeologically, Harappan civilization defeated their ideology. But when it comes to Vedic period, still archaeologically it is yet to get a lot of evidence. That's why still we are more or less agreeing to this theory. But when it comes to Harappan civilization, there is nothing that it has completely imported from the Western Asia. Because already these areas are undergoing the natural evolution. In 7000 BCE, Neolithic settlements, and from there, Mehergarh 3, 4500 Chalcolithic stage it entered. You give the subheading crafts. There is evidence of a significant increase in craft activities. Significant increase in craft activities, including large-scale production of wheel-made pottery. Wheel-made pottery. This pottery was painted with decorations. painted with decorations. Now you see aestheticness. Different designs, different symbols. Now these symbols, this practice of these symbols gradually evolved into the script later. So they were experimenting something, and these experiments led to the rise of script later. Pottery making painted with decorations. It marked by innovations. It marked by innovations and refinement. And refinement in pottery making techniques. Pottery making techniques. Full stop. The frequent occurrence, next you give subheading ornaments. When it comes to Harappan civilization, we are just going to write about the same things only. Harappan ornament, jewelry, bead making industry. How suddenly Harappans can manufacture all these things? Without having the strong backup, suddenly it cannot be. Suppose now innovation is happening in USA, Silicon Valley for example. Many path-breaking developments are taking place in Silicon Valley. In 2023, if some innovation comes, is it a sudden practice? Suddenly in 23, it emerged? No. For the last 40, 50 years, the ecosystem of Silicon Valley is designed in such a way, today you are seeing a lot of innovations from that area. Similarly, if some innovation comes in Harappan Valley, Harappan civilization, it is not a sudden act. Hundreds and thousands of years before that, already those kind of activities are going on, and they have taken final shape, refinement shape. Today, it may take decades. Maybe in 10 years, 20 years, you will see the huge difference. But that time, it was very slow process. It takes hundreds and thousands of years to see such kind of high marking innovation. Ornaments. The frequent occurrence of ornaments. The frequent occurrence of ornaments such as necklaces, and bracelets made out of steatite beads. Steatite beads indicate that bead making was another important craft. Bead making was another important craft. Next point, there were also beads of semi-precious stones. Semi-precious stones such as lapis lazuli. Such as lapis lazuli, turquoise, agate, terracotta, and shell. When it comes to Harappan, we are going to do same thing only. Harappans knew about steatite, Harappans knew about lapis lazuli, Harappans knew about turquoise, and in fact, those Harappan people, locally it is not available. And lapis lazuli they have to bring from Afghanistan. Turquoise they have to bring from some other place in Makran coast. And when it comes to gold, they have to take it from Neolithic people of South India, Pikli Hall. Copper from Ganeshwar K3 mines, they have to. If they are having such kind of network means they are advanced. Already, it's not a sudden development. Today we are talking about Grand Trunk Road, which connects Kolkata to Lahore area. But it did not develop now. During Sher Shah time period itself, it was developed. But later, continuously, it developed further. Whatever infrastructure you lay the foundation now, if it sustains for hundreds of years, it will have huge impact. Now, these are the one. Now, we were surprised that Harappans knew all these things. Harappans were great people because they were able to procure all these things and they were very strong in bead manufacturing industry. There is a place called Chanhudaro. It is known for bead making industry. And we were very proud. Whatever thing we are going to study, whatever characteristic we are going to study about Harappans, that is for 2500 to 1900 BCE. Between this time period, we will study that these people know all these things and it is a very great thing. But now we are not in 2500, we are in 4500. These people are Chalcolithic people. Before them, 2000 years ago itself, already this network is there. Already these manufacturing activities are going. But these people are village people. They are just beginning. This laid the foundation for the urban areas. Could you get that? Here in this context, you write one question that is related to Harappan civilization. But connectivity is from this point only. Sanju, are you able to get this? The connection? How Harappan civilization is going to get the benefit out of these networks. Harappan people are not going to develop suddenly. Before Harappans, 2000 years, 3000 years before them itself, already these institutions are taking the shape. Are you able to getting this connection? Are you able to get this connection? If you get this connection, it is very useful in Harappan civilization. I will give one question that will help you now. Write this question. The urban, you can write in bracket so that you can have, you will not confuse. So whenever some extra part comes, you give like this so that it has connectivity. The urban character of the Harappan civilization, the urban character of the Harappan civilization was a result was a result neither of any outside influence. You underline that, neither of any outside influence, nor a sudden act, nor a sudden act. You are getting two phrases: neither outside influence nor a sudden act, nor a sudden act, but a gradual evolution. But a gradual evolution of regional socio-economic factors. Regional socio-economic factors. No outside influence, not a sudden act. So here, not a sudden act means suddenly in 2500 cities did not come. Suddenly they became very well versed with the trading networks. Suddenly they became very good in manufacturing. No. This automatically negates outside influence also. British used to say that suddenly some people came and started building the cities. That is not. But it's a gradual evolution. Why we are saying gradual evolution? In 2500 urban areas emerged, but in 4500 BC itself, in places like Mehergarh, whatever Harappan people are going to do, these people are already doing that. This is why it's a gradual the same artisan activities, whatever we have written, the subsistence pattern, same subsistence pattern before Harappans also in northwestern. Same agriculture, same domestication of animals, same artisan activities, same pottery technology, wheel-made technology. All these things emerged into the next phase in Harappan civilization. So it is not a sudden one, but a gradual one. Now you have written up to shell, right? Terracotta and shell. Next you give terracotta. Here we are all talking about Mehergarh, how Mehergarh was having the characteristics during Chalcolithic time period. Terracotta. Terracotta, humped bull. In Harappan Valley, in Harappan civilization, Indus Valley, bull is very important. They used to print bull in seals. On the seals, bull. Now 2500 years before that itself, terracotta humped bull. It only reached the next stage. For example, earlier we were writing everything in books. Now we are writing in computers. 50, 60 years ago there were no computers. But whatever we were writing on the notes, textbooks, now we are writing on this. But it doesn't mean only technology changed, but the characteristic is same. Now they made terracotta humped bull. Harappans, they printed this humped bull on seals. Technology changed after 2000 years, but this is how culture, same thing. After Harappans, the Harappan culture continues. Civilization, this is the representation of civilization. But this is the culture. The idea is the culture. How you portray your idea is the civilization. Harappan civilization declined, but Harappan culture continued. One question. Similarly, the Chalcolithic culture entered into the civilization when it comes to Harappan. When it comes to the civilization. terracotta humped bull. Storage. Next you give storage. Mehergad had storage complexes. Divided into compartments. Divided into compartments. Now this one, in bracket you give Harappan people and Mohenjo-daro people were having the, which point is closely connected to this? Storage facilities in Mehergad, granaries. Harappans and Mohenjo-daro, granaries. Storage granaries. So it is not a sudden one. 2000 years onwards that culture is continuing. But they got more, due to advancement, they constructed in a different way. These people are using the only chalco, copper, but these people used bronze. We are using the computers, new technology. 50 years ago, no technology, but same works were doing in a different way. So same ideas in a different way. But they survived because they are made with burnt bricks. Those made with mud bricks, they might have destroyed. That's why when it comes to archaeology, whatever we directly see is not the real fact of the culture. They might be having a lot of mud bricks storage facilities, but due to long period climate, everything, rainfall, floods, everything, they might have got destroyed. But they survived. Perishable, they melt. That's why evidence is not available today, but they might have used it. As they are survived, and we are able to see today also. Next, burials. Burials. Mehergad people practiced burial practices in Chalcolithic period. Last point, a large cemetery containing the burials of about 99 people. About 99 people shows changes in burial practices from Neolithic period. Last point, copper and bronze objects were buried. Copper and bronze objects were buried. Beads, pendants, of lapis lazuli, turquoise, seashell were also buried. Last point, all these shows the evolution of culture from Neolithic stage to Chalcolithic Neolithic to Chalcolithic. Full stop. And this laid the foundation for India's great civilization called the Harappan civilization. Harappan civilization. This case study is for the Mehergarh. Mehergarh, before the emergence of Harappans, they had the Chalcolithic culture. But whatever Chalcolithic culture we have seen, Ahar, Gilund, Balatal, Ahar, Malwa, Jorvi, these things, they are going to have the similar practices after the fall of Harappan civilization. So whatever happened here after 2000 BC, same thing happened in Mehergarh in 4000s itself. And these 4000 later they developed into urban areas. After their decline, some of these ideals entered into this. This is where you can connect the Harappan culture continued, but Harappan civilization declined, but culture continued. Harappan culture continued means like Mehergarh culture entered into Harappan culture. Now Harappan culture entered into Malwa culture, Jorvi culture. Because the time period is after that. So this is where you are going to connect. Always timeline and geography. Very, very crucial in understanding prehistoric period. After early Vedic time period onwards, little bit straightforward. Only up to now, because in multiple places different things are happening. And this combination, this mixture is going to emerge Indian culture or Indian civilization. Alright, we will stop the class here. You read once again up to Chalcolithic. Now you read Paleolithic also, Mesolithic also, Neolithic also, Chalcolithic also. Tomorrow we will finish this and we will enter into Harappan also. Saturday I will give you the test up to now. Only 3 questions only I will give. You need to practice. Sanju, alright? Is it alright? Okay then.